The Calvert County, Maryland Commissioners' Reports is a headline news podcast provided in part by the Communications and Media Relations Division. Commissioners' Reports is a summary of the agenda and outcomes of regular Calvert County Board of County Commissioners meetings, as well as related public information and events. Hello, and welcome to Commissioners' Reports. I'm your host, Kevin G. Schmidt. In this week's Calvert County Board of County Commissioners meeting, appointments. Timothy Cox was appointed to the Calvert County Ethics Commission. 2 vacancies remain. Ashley Wilkerson from Technology Services and Amalia Peak Tam from Planning and Zoning were appointed to the Employee Recognition Committee. No vacancies remain. In old business, Department of Planning and Zoning, Historic District Design Guidelines. In FY 2020, the Maryland Historical Trust awarded the Calvert County Department of Planning and Zoning a certified local government grant to revise the Calvert County Historic District Design Guidelines. The document provides historic district owners guidelines with appropriate approaches and materials for restoration and rehabilitation, and are used by the Historic District Commission when considering historic area work permits and historic preservation tax credits. The current guidelines were approved and adopted in 2001. The revised Historic District Design Guidelines will provide updated guidance to historic district owners, as well as the Historic District Commission, for the preparation and evaluation of historic area work permits and historic preservation tax credit applications. At a joint public hearing between the BOCC and the Planning Commission on March 29, 2022, following approval by the Planning Commission, the BOCC voted to keep the record open for an additional 10 days of public comment and asked staff to return to the BOCC during a regular meeting to review any additional public comment and consider adoption of the updated Historic District Design Guidelines. The Department of Planning and Zoning provided the draft guidelines to relevant state and local agencies for review and comment period between May 9th and May 27th. 2 public comments were received during that time, and an additional comment was received after the period had ended. Grant funds were used, and the Historic Preservation Tax Credit remains unchanged. After discussion, staff recommended and the BOCC approved and adopted the ordinance, repealing and readopting with amendments the proposed Historic District Design Guidelines. Public hearing. Department of Community Resources, Environmental Health Fees and Charges. As defined by the Maryland Annotated Code, Health General Article, the BOCC is the designated ex officio Board of Health for Calvert County. The local Board of Health is empowered to, quote, set any fee or charge in connection with its rules and regulations, end quote. Dr. Lawrence Polsky, Calvert County's health officer, proposed recommended changes to the Calvert County's environmental health fees and charges to adjust annually with inflation. The fees have remained unchanged for over 15 years. The recommended fee changes affect matters of water and sewer, food service facilities, pools, and other topics like beaches, campgrounds, mobile home parks, tattoo shops, exotic bird retailers, and burn permits. The increased health fees and charges would take effect on January 1st, 2023. After discussion, staff recommended and the BOCC closed the record and adopted and enacted the recommended changes to the environmental health fees and charges. Department of Community Resources, Calvert County Minority Business Plan. A Minority Business Plan, MBP, is a requirement for recipients of the Community Development Block Grant, CDBG, in order to remain in compliance with the Maryland Department of Housing and Community Development, DHCD. For implementation of the CDBG, Calvert County's Department of Community Resources must update the MBP. The last plan was approved in September 2019 for 3 years. The Minority Business Plan Resolution was approved for legal sufficiency by the County Attorney's Office and advertised for 2 consecutive weeks in a paper of general circulation. DHCD has advised that moving forward, the MBP can be in effect for 5 years from the signature date. After discussion, staff recommended and the BOCC closed the record and approved the adoption and enactment of the Minority Business Plan. Work session. Department of Planning and Zoning, Transportation Priorities for the FY 24 CTP Tour. Each year, the BOCC submits a Transportation Priority Project letter to the Secretary of the Maryland Department of Transportation, MDOT. The purpose of the letter is for annual transportation projects to be included in the state's upcoming 6-year capital transportation budget, the Consolidated Transportation Program, CTP. Highlights from the FY 23 to FY 28 draft CTP include funding for intersection improvements along the MD 231 corridor, adaptive signal control technology, technology, which would synchronize traffic lights in Dunkirk and Prince Frederick, and funding for a needs assessment study to begin planning and design for a new transit, solid waste, and recycling transfer station. In the draft FY 23-28 CTP that MDOT presented last month, Calvert County is to receive funding for some of our highest priority projects. For the next budget cycle, FY 24-29, the Departments of Planning and Zoning, Public Works, and Community Resources will continue to ask MDOT to support previously prioritized projects that remain underfunded or on hold. After discussion, the BOCC voted to proceed forward and finalize the drafted letter to MDOT regarding Calvert County's transportation priorities list. Department of Planning and Zoning, Text Amendment Case TA 22-03, amendments to the Calvert County Zoning Ordinance to allow for possible cemetery accessory uses. Planning and Zoning staff received a text amendment application from the Chesapeake Memorial Gardens requesting that crematoriums and funeral homes be permitted as accessory uses to existing cemeteries. The applicant reasons that funeral homes and crematoriums are related uses to cemeteries and are businesses that are low intensity and have minimal impact on surrounding properties. Prior to the zoning ordinance update in 2006, crematoriums and funeral homes were permitted by special exception approval only within what is now zoned as the Farm and Forest District, FFD, previously known as the Rural District. The applicant proposes to allow crematoriums and funeral homes be conditionally permitted within the FFD, given they are an accessory to an existing cemetery. At the public hearing on Tuesday evening, after discussion, the BOCC closed the record and approved and adopted the ordinance enacting changes to the Calvert County Zoning Ordinance as submitted in case TA 22-03. Department of Planning and Zoning, Text Amendment Case TA 22-04, amendment to the Calvert County Zoning Ordinance, CCZO, to allow a cigar lounge in Lusby Town Center. Planning and Zoning staff received a text amendment application from Mr. Lincoln Lawrence requesting that the use of a cigar lounge be added to the Lusby Town Center use chart as a separate use and be permitted within the town center. The applicant states that within the town center and within proximity to the proposed location for his cigar lounge is a liquor store and a restaurant and bar. The applicant stated that the current ordinance does not lend to this type of business model that is growing throughout the Delaware, Maryland, and Virginia area, and that this proposed change would allow for growth of these types of businesses within the Lusby area of Calvert County. The proposals were sent to the Planning Commission on September 21st, and the Planning Commission voted to distribute the staff recommended option to receive agency comments. Staff returned to the Planning Commission on October 19th to review agency comments received. The Planning Commission voted to direct staff to schedule a joint public hearing with the BOCC. At the public hearing on Tuesday evening, and based upon disapproval by the Planning Commission, after discussion, the BOCC closed the record and approved and adopted the ordinance enacting changes to the Calvert County Zoning Ordinance as submitted in case TA 22-04. Department of Planning and Zoning, adequate public facilities requirements. The Department of Planning and Zoning has presented an amendment to the Calvert County Zoning Ordinance, CCZO, to adopt adequate public facilities requirements for development, redevelopment, and issuance of building permits, not part of a subdivision or site plan review. In 1988, the county adopted APF regulations to help ensure schools and roads would be able to accommodate smart growth. The proposed expansion of the APF within the comprehensive plan would include an expansion in funding for water and sewer, stormwater management, solid waste and recycling, fire, rescue and EMS services, law enforcement services, and park facilities, provided that each new addition meets thresholds and regulations within the comprehensive plan. After discussion, the BOCC closed the record and adopted the ordinance enacting the recommended changes to the Calvert County Zoning Ordinance and adopting and enacting Chapter 3 of the Calvert County Code with the following changes. 1. At Section 3.6 of the ordinance, require that each lane and lane approach for roadways in the impact area must operate at or above the minimum level of service of C using the highway capacity method. And at Section 3.14A1 and 3.15A of the ordinance related to public water and sewer, change the adequate level of service from 80% to 90%. Department of Planning and Zoning, Calvert County Comprehensive Plan proposed amendments, reduction of town center expansions. The BOCC held 2 work sessions in June 2022 to discuss amending the Calvert County Comprehensive Plan adopted in 2019. The BOCC decided to retain the future expansions for Dunkirk, Owings, and St. Leonard Town Centers. The board directed staff to initiate the process to amend the plan for the Huntingtown, Prince Frederick, Lusby, and Solomons Town Centers. The Planning Commission held a public hearing on the proposed amendments November 2, 2022. At the conclusion of the testimony, the Planning Commission voted to close the record, accept the proposed amendments, and to forward them to the BOCC. The purpose of Tuesday night's public hearing was to receive comments regarding the proposed amendments to the comprehensive plan. At the public hearing, and after discussion, staff recommended and the BOCC closed the record and approved and adopted the ordinance enacting changes to the Calvert County Comprehensive Plan. In other Calvert County local news, the Board of County Commissioners cordially invites you to celebrate the holiday season with them as they put on 2 separate holiday events here in Calvert County. First, we have this year's Christmas celebration, which will be held at Kings Park in Prince Frederick on Saturday, December 3rd, 2022, from 11 a.m. to 5 p.m. Not only will Santa Claus be in attendance, but many vendors and activities will be taking place throughout this very merry evening. Next week, come and join the BOCC as they light up Main Street. On Tuesday, December 6, 2022 at 4:30 p.m., held on the lawn of the Calvert County Circuit Courthouse. Enjoy cookies, hot chocolate, and some classic Christmas carols performed by the Calvert High School Chorus. If you can arrive early, you'll be sure not to miss out on any of the fun. Finish the evening with the lighting of our beautiful 20-foot fresh-cut Norway spruce, donated by Hidden Lake Christmas Tree Farm in Port Republic. This is an event you don't want to miss. And don't forget to share your holiday cheer online by using the hashtag CalvertChristmas. The BOCC looks forward to spending the holidays with you. That concludes our broadcast. The Calvert County, Maryland Commissioners Reports is a headline news podcast. Stay current with other news in Calvert County by following and liking the Calvert County Government's Facebook page at facebook.com/Calvert County MD, on Instagram at Calvert Broadcast, on YouTube, youtube.com/Calvert County Gov, and our official website, www.calvertcountymd.gov. Thank you.